First. Welcome to the Unreal Engine 4 SGDC Learn Jam event. Awesome. So we're going to get started, and we're going to launch Engine 17.1, which is the latest. Everyone have that? Yes. Anyone, better question, anyone not have that? Okay. Okay. Awesome. So we're going to launch it, and it's going to boot up. I'm going to minimize OBS. Ignore the lots of projects I have on display on the bottom here. So that will launch. It should launch. Looks like it's trying. We wait. Cool. Welcome to the first lesson of Unreal Engine. It runs slow sometimes. So actually, watch this. Power options. I'm on power saver, so that's part of the problem. High performance. And I'm also not plugged in. I'm on battery power. Both of those things. So I see you have a nice MSI gaming laptop. That will run this nicely. Has it booted up for everyone else? There it goes. Hello.
How you doing?
Hey, what's up? How's it going?
I'm doing a tour.
Hi, welcome.
How you guys doing today? Good school? Come on here, listen to this. Come on, don't be shy.
How's it going?
Good.
We are the Game Development Club. We're going over how to make video games. This is an event to teach exactly that.
Wait a second. So, listen. No,
I mean, this event is running for the next 6 hours, so you're welcome to hang around. It's okay, we're killing time because this takes 8 million years to boot.
Yeah, he wants to attend.
Why are
So.
we?
Hi. We're teaching video games, how to make them.
I was
Yeah.
10 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, you did Donkey Kong, right? Did you make that?
Yeah, doesn't it?
Right.
So you guys are all students? Guys, any guys? Okay.
We have a few, not that many.
All right, take it easy. You don't mind us interrupting?
No, you're totally fine. I'm literally staring at a loading bar at the moment, so there's no harm, no foul here.
And do you get credit for this, or you just get like?
No, this is extracurricular.
Yeah, this is like the looks at your parents. You get like really.
Yes, and I'm the president of the club, so imagine the looks I get.
Absolutely, it's all good.
And all you guys are doing it. C2GS still there?
Yep.
It's going to be in this building?
Yep.
Is it usually, it used to?
Yep. We have an Epic LAN tonight.
Right, I saw the thing outside.
Yep.
So people will show up.
Play video games. So this is making video games. They're playing video games. I also help run both clubs. So there you go.
That's good.
The two had a lot of overlap.
Yep. Yeah. How many of you here are planning on coming to the Epic LAN tonight? Most of us. It's okay if you're not. I won't be offended. It's okay.
Hey, thank you very much.
Of course. Have a great day.
Enjoy your day.
Have a great one. I was just worried he was here about the tools and he was going to kick us out. I was like, oh, I don't know where to go then. But I'm so glad that was good, all things considered. So how many people already have it up and running and my laptop's just slower than yours? Yeah. Okay. You have this screen now? Great. Hopefully. Okay. Oh, darn. So follow along for now. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to New Project. And here you have a lot of different options. You have a lot of different templates that Unreal Engine will give you. If you're really brave, you'll hit the C++ button and blank. If you're less brave, you will. Hi, Alex. But for our purposes, we are going to start with the first-person shooter template, which is the first-person template. Thank you very much. Actually, give it to Alex because he is our stream maestro. So. Oh, really?
I rock the whole setup. It's easier for me to just link it to my laptop.
Gotcha. Cool. We're going to set that up after Unreal Engine because no reason to interrupt. Anyway, we're going to have to cut out a million moments of silence for this, and sorry for the slow startup. We're going to first person. We're going to make sure we're in Blueprint because that's what this tutorial is going over. Excuse me. Desktop console, maximum quality doesn't matter. We're going to hit scalable 2D, 3D. Doesn't actually affect much. And we're going to hit with starter content. Starter content gives you a lot of nice textures and objects to work with at the beginning. We're going to have some fun with those. So you put it whatever folder you like, and we're just going to name this Learn Jam 2017. I can't type. And you hit Create Project, and it makes a project. Unreal projects are fairly large. Depends on exactly what you're importing and what you're using, but the largest one I've ever had, the folder is about 7 to 8 gigs. I've seen one that's 16, but that's with importing a lot of large assets. So starting out, you'll have fairly small ones. Like the starter content adds about 1 gig, which makes the entire thing about 1.5 gigs per project, which isn't the worst, all things considered. Again, so now we wait at loading bars, which is always fun. So we're going to explore the editor, and we're going to go about sort of how to make a few things happen here. We're going to make him jump really high. We're going to try, they're going to give us a gun and a projectile to work with. We're going to play with those. We're going to shoot tables, and we're going to shoot some other fun things. We'll have some fun with it. Just to sort of show you how to edit things, affect things, create new things, etc.
Ignore him.
Okay. So again, how many of you already are booted in? Yeah, my laptop is used to be good. Used to be good. It's a little slower now. But I couldn't have had this up and running before the lesson started because then I wouldn't have gotten to show you what to click. Probably could have. You're all smart enough. You could have figured it out. But oh well. So we're at 90%. Just gonna close any excess process. Yeah, check out our website. Christ. Welcome, how's it going? We're starting off the Unreal Engine lesson. Feel free to take a seat, and you can just follow along if you want, or you can, if you have it installed, feel free to follow, actually act along with us. Alright, so welcome. First things first, you'll see this is the Unreal Engine for Editor. This is the full thing. So, in the middle here you have your your preview of the map. So the controls here are best suited to a mouse. I hope everyone has a mouse, because on laptop trackpad it's slightly challenging. You can do it. I'll show you, but it's a little hard. So let's see. You click into the engine once to you can click left click to select an object. So if we want to click this cube, you should see an up, forward, back, and left, right arrow appear. Click any one of these arrows, and you can drag it in that axis. The squares let you drag in 2 axes at once. We're going to, which of course is challenging because we're doing 3D edits on a 2D plane, so it's usually best to do one axis at a time. So we can do this. There are 3 basic movement controls that you can select between right here. This is selecting and translating. This is selecting and rotating. So we can rotate them like this, in any of the 3 axes of rotation. And then there is scaling. Click this, and you can drag it to become longer, taller, or wider. So, obviously we can't do much if we can't move around. The easiest way I found to move around is you use right click. You click and hold right click and drag to change your camera perspective, as if you're looking around in first person. You can look all the way up, all the way down, and turn around. Then there's a few ways to move forward and back. On the one hand, there are the arrow keys. The arrow keys will translate you as if you're on a 2D plane in whatever direction you're looking. I prefer to use the scroll wheel. You can scroll forward and backward, and you can kind of just do that to get wherever you want. Your call. You'll find what you prefer. I just like having all movement be on the mouse. So left click, select something, right click, drag around, scroll back and forth, sort of gets you there. Not for this one. But probably, yeah. Anyway, so let's get started. You want to actually play your game, you hit the play button. That will run the game here. Also, you'll notice that very large object we made just fell. The default controls this template will give you are WASD to move, space to jump, and click to shoot. So they give us a first-person animation, and they give us these balls that bounce around. And that is this in a nutshell. So these white blocks are actually physics objects they give us that are affected by the projectile. This one is so big, the game will detect mass effectively based on its size. And notice we can't really get it to move because we made it too big. This is all template stuff. If you were starting something from scratch, you likely wouldn't use all of this. But if you wanted to make a game just out of this, so say we wanted to get up there, we can't get up there. We can shoot one of these blocks up to it. And now, assuming the jump height is high enough, but it's not, so you can make a whole game out of just that. But we're going to press escape to kill the game. So we're going to delete this large object by clicking on it and pressing delete. You can also right click, and then there probably is a delete button somewhere in this large menu, but I don't use it. Anyway, so let's take a look at some other things. I'm going to zoom way out of our map. So this is the map they give us. We can make new maps, and we'll go into making new maps, but we're not going to do that just yet. For now, let's look at what we can do with our player. And we saw that our jump height was too low, so let's try to let him jump higher. So how do we even begin, right? So first things first, click out this little thing to let you see the folder structure of your project. And you'll see we have the big content folder, kind of holds everything. In the case of the tutorial, we were given the first person folder, which actually doesn't have what we want. It has a bunch of assets like the arm and the animation for the shooting. We're not worried about any of that for this tutorial. We're looking at the first-person BP folder. A blueprint in Unreal Engine can be sort of described as the logic behind an object. The blueprint of an object sort of will... So when you press space, what happens? The blueprint decides. So we're going to go into the blueprints folder within first-person BP, and we see we have first-person character, which is a blueprint class with a character. And you see the description is the character you control, which includes firing logic. So we'll double-click it, and this will open an editor. And it'll take its time. What's up?
The file for you to show up.
So you press this little button here in the top left. It says show or hide the sources panel. Yeah. That used to be enabled by default, and then for some reason in one of the newer updates they disabled it by default, which I find ridiculous because why would you not want to be able to see the folder structure? So that's just me. Anyway, so we can actually drag this up here to be full screen, and you can tab between the various editor windows. This is a new feature. It's very nice. New relative to when I started. But so we click over here, and you'll notice we have this weird-ass spaghetti nonsense. This is blueprint code. Notice I'm using air quotes. Blueprints are effectively visual scripting, where you can start from a node that has an input, or it's sort of the beginning of an event, and you can logically and visually follow its execution to see what it's doing. So we're going to start at jumping, because jumping is very straightforward. So on input action jump, which we remember is space. I'll show you where that gets defined later, but in a settings window somewhere else, they've basically defined an action they called jump, and they've mapped it to space. And then it can do the rest, and you can tell it input action jump, jump, or stop jumping. And now we may be going, well, that's not what I expected. That's not, you know, add vertical force upwards. And you're right. That is because this is built in with the Unreal Engine 4 sort of built-in character controller, which has a lot of these things sort of done behind the scenes in the black box. Though you totally can just add vertical force. So let's try to do that right now and see if it actually works as expected. So right now what we're going to do is we're going to right-click on this little white arrow. We're going to hit break link, and this will no longer do anything. So right now, if we started the game and hit pressed, what would happen? Nothing, because the pressed arrow leads to nothing, so nothing would happen. For now, we're going to put this over here, and we're going to try something. We're going to get the character's object. So we're going to say, let's see, which of these makes the most sense to grab? The overall capsule component object is the sort of parent of the whole thing. And so you know how there was this whole thing with the Crash Bandicoot game? How in the original PS1 games he had a rectangular prism as a collision box, but now he had a capsule. That's because modern games usually will use capsules to define whether you're hitting something or not hitting something. So imagine this was a perfect capsule shape. This is, you know, an eraser. If it's on the ground, it is colliding with something because, you know, it has a contact point with the ground. As it approaches the edge, notice how it sort of rounds a corner. People have decided they like that more than arbitrarily hovering and then immediately falling. They like sort of descending a bit before. That seems more natural to them. So that's why we use capsules. So if we actually click over to the viewport tab, we can see what I'm clicking. This is the tablet. Now, if you were expecting a full player model, you would be mistaken. Instead, we just have an arm and a gun and another gun. I don't actually know why there are two guns here, though I know we're not supposed to delete them. So this is the animation mesh. We're not going into any of this because, frankly, I'm not qualified to teach you any of it. So instead, we're just going to select this capsule. And if we want to do something to this capsule in code, we jump back over to the event graph, and we actually physically click and drag it here. And now we have this little node that says capsule component. So this basically says, with this capsule component, I want to do something. We're going to drag him out. This is how you blueprint script in general. You drag from one thing to the next, which will give you this large context window where you can type names of things, and it'll show you what is like a, how should you say, possible option with this. So with this capsule option, I'm going to look up velocity. So we can say, we can set physics linear velocity. Angular would make him start tumbling over. I don't actually know how the game would handle that, so we're going to avoid that for now. So let's see if this works. We're going to say set physics linear velocity, which gives us this large window. Don't worry about all this comment. This weird zone. This is actually just a fancy comment. You know, if you've coded before, like you can type 2 slashes and then you have a comment. This is how they do it here. It also lets you drag the whole section around. It's how you label things. So we're going to drag from pressed to set physics linear velocity and let go. Now that they're connected, when you press jump, pressed will go to here and actually execute this. But since we haven't done anything, it'll set its velocity to nothing, effectively not helping us at all. So we're going to try to set its z velocity, which is the vertical velocity up-down. X, I believe, is left-right, Y is forward-back, Z is up-down. I might have X and Y flipped. Apologies. What's up? There are no numbers? Yeah, let me come see. One second. You said get, not set. So get will just tell you what the current velocity is, which you can use to do different things. But here we want to set, which is lower. I do that all the time. So here let's try setting it to, I believe, negative, because actually, you know, I'm thinking in GameMaker logic. I apologize. GameMaker negative is up, positive is down. I think positive is up. Let's set it to some really ludicrously high number, like 1,000, just to see if we can see that it's working. Because it's possible that the character controller will actually override our velocity changes, making what I'm doing here stupid. Let's see. So press space, and nothing seems to happen. Let's see. One more time. I'm just going to make that number really, really stupidly high. And if nothing happens there, we know this isn't doing anything, right? Yep. So apparently the character controller overrides direct velocity setting. So that's unfortunate. So I apologize. We're going to have to work within their given variables for this. So let's put jump back where it was. Sorry for the confusion. And we're back to the problem of we want to make jumping higher. So seeing how we're using their built-in jump logic, we have to use their built-in jump height variable. Where do we go to do that? Over here on the left, you see all these different components, like the camera and the capsule. We don't care about any of that. At the very, very bottom, we have character movement inherited. Click that. This gives us a ton of different movement controls and such. Everything from the air boost multiplier to control. Basically, how much control do you have over yourself in midair? Right now, they give us very little, 0.05. We could set that, to 1, which would give us, literally let us walk around as if we're on the ground in midair, if that's something like. We could set it to higher than our ground control, or greater than 1. What's up? Yeah, no problem. So you go up here, and you click the very bottom one that says character movement. Got it? Awesome. So you click that, you have it up, you have a ton of variables to play with here, but we're worried currently about the jump z velocity, which is currently set to 420. We're going to double that. We're going to say 840, and just to see what that does. So a lot of playing with these variables is guess and check, kind of. There is an exact science to it, but especially starting out, there's no way to know that exact science. So frankly, we wanted to jump roughly twice as high. We doubled the number. Let's see how that goes. So we start off, we have our shooting, and we press jump, and we jump very high. Can we make this jump in one jump? Yes, we can. So now we have effectively more closer to like Halo 3 jumping, or Halo 2 jumping. I personally love Halo 2, so I think that's a good thing. But, so here we can jump around now. So what else do we want to do with our character? So we can do a bunch of different things, but for now, let's worry about, I'm actually going to tweak our air control, because I don't like having such little control over where I go when I jump. Let's first show you what it can do when I set it to 1, if you want really, really fine control over where you're going midair. So let's change this air control variable from 0.05 to 1. You compile and save. Both of those things will actually be done automatically upon running the game itself, but it's faster if you do it manually, I think. So that's why I get in the habit of doing it. I also hate seeing the little asterisk like all the time, so I like compulsively save and I compulsively compile. The asterisk just means there's unsaved changes in your project, or whatever window is open. So we hit play, we jump, and notice now I have much finer control over where I'm going in midair. We can do like a full circle around the cube, basically. So yeah, so that is jump control and sort of aerial control. Let's say we want to make him run faster. That's in the same place. Anything that relates to his movement, his running around, jumping, etc., will all be in here. Here we have his gravity, which we're not going to touch. We have friction, all sorts of things. But here we have walking. And so we have the max step height, which would be sort of, if you have actual physical stair objects, what's the maximum size of the lip he can step over? So for example, if it's like an actual box, you don't want to be able to walk and teleport up to the top of the box. But if it's a stair, you don't want to get stuck where you can't actually go up the stairs. So that's what that variable does. We have walkable floor angles, and if to those of you who have played any like first-person shooter with an emphasis on platforming, you can't run up very steep walls, but you can run up kind of steep walls. That's what this is. But finally, we got max walk speed. So we're going to set walk speed to 1,000, which was at 600. And what's that going to do? It's going to make him run faster. So here we're moving faster than before. So a few more things. So what have we done so far? All we've done is tweak existing things. We haven't made anything new. So let's work on that. So let's say we wanted to make a new object, right? So a completely new thing. We'll decide what it does later. So for now, we're going to stay in our first-person blueprint folder right here on the left that we're currently in. We're going to right-click. We're going to see this window come up, right? What we want to do is make a new blueprint class. And so most of the time, you're probably going to want an actor if it's just a basic object, like, say, a checkpoint or a collectible, like a coin in Mario or something to that effect. It's an actor. If it's controllable, you probably want a pawn or a character. For now, we're going to worry about actors. There's a reason we started with their template, and that's because creating a character from scratch takes longer. So we're going to hit actor. And we're going to call it, what do we want it? Do we want it to be a collectible coin? All right, we'll call it coin. So you name it coin, if you can spell, like I can't. I'm actually going to see if I can't. We're going up, Alex. Cool. So we've created this new coin object, and if we click on it, what do we expect for there to be there? Nothing. This little circle is called a default scene root, and it's invisible in-game. It actually usually gets overwritten anytime you add something to it. So right now we want to add a component, anything really, to it. And there's a lot of different things you can add. If we were doing 3D modeling, you could import a 3D model and then add what's called a static mesh, which is Unreal Engine 4's name for a model. And then you could put that on this object, and we could have the object be the model. Great start. We don't have any 3D models, so let's see what they give us to work with if we have nothing else. They give us these 5 basic shapes: a plane, a cube, a sphere, a cylinder, and a cone. Since it's a coin, we want it to be round. It's a cylinder, technically. So we're going to hit a cylinder. Doesn't look much like a coin. So we're just going to check that. So first things first, coins are usually oriented the other way. So we're going to hit scale. Or actually, no, we're going to hit rotate. And we're going to rotate it 90 degrees, like this. Everyone got that? So if you look at it flat on, it looks like a coin. Unfortunately, it's still very long. So we're going to hit scale. And we're going to scale it down to be roughly coin-sized. Let's call it that. So but notice how I can't, this is too thick and this is too thin. What if I want better control over my scale? Well, look up here as I do this, specifically on the scale line on Z. As I do this, it's changing the number. It's doing it in increments of 0.25. So if we want something in between that, we can just type 0.125. And now we can do that. So we can also set it to be like 100, and now it's infinitely long. Or we can do 0. What we could do, we're going to do 0.125. Looks like a good width to me. Now, let's put this in game as is and see what it does. So how do we put objects we made in a game? We go from here, and we physically drag from coin onto the level. Put it level on the ground, and then you're given all your normal controls. You can go clicking through these to change your settings, or you can use the hotkeys W, E, and R. W, E, R. W, E, R. Much faster. So your call. It's up there if you need it, but you can also press W to go back to movement. So let's go over to it, and here is our coin. It looks very bland, I'll admit. But for now, let's hit play and see what it looks like in game. So here we have our coin. It stays completely still, and it does have collision. So it has collision because we added, because the cylinder component we added actually has a collision object on it, or a sort of a collision mesh. So what if we wanted to collect the coin? In Mario, do you stand on the coins? No, you walk through them and they get collected. So, but what else do Mario coins do, usually? They rotate while standing still. So this is a great exercise in sort of getting you to do cool code things with an object. So let's hop back over to our coin. You can either double click it or press its tab. And now we're here in our viewport, which I somehow managed to lose sight of the coin. But here's the coin. First thing I want to do before we actually make it move is I want to make it look something different than just solid white, because I think solid white's boring. So over here under materials, we have the basic shape material selected. Materials are Unreal Engine 4's word for texture in a nutshell. It's a little more complicated than that, and if anyone working at Epic heard me say that, they probably cringe slightly. But for you guys, it's effectively whatever it is the appearance that gets painted over an object. So we're going to hit this drop down, and we have a lot of options. We have a lot of options because we imported the starter content. If you don't do that, you have very few options. We're going to go down. Actually, we're going to type metal. If we type metal, we see burnished nickel, steel, chrome, copper, gold, rust, and steel. I personally vote for gold because coins typically are gold, but do we have a preference for anything else? Give me one. Someone shout out a metal name on the screen.
Tungsten.
On the screen, Brad. We'll hit gold. So we press gold, and now we have a golden shiny metal thing. If we zoom really close, we'll see the texture is actually very highly detailed. And that is how people making Unreal games win best art, because Epic gives you a lot of nice looking things. But so that is now, our coin is now gold and shiny. So that's that for now. We're going to click over to the event graph, which again is where all the actual coding logic happens. And here you'll notice they give you three sort of transparented out things. We have begin play, begin overlap, and event tick. I'm going to explain what each of these does. First things first is begin play. What do you think begin play does? Someone tell me what they think it does.
It's what it does when you hit play.
Yep, it is what it does when it sort of gets created, really, on its spawning. It runs this exactly once. So a difference would be, so then what do we think begin overlap does? Someone... It's like a class, and no one wants to participate. Okay. Begin overlap is just what happens when the player, walks into it, and it runs that code. There's also end overlap, which would be when the player walks out of the zone. So using those two together, you could actually have a persistent understanding of whether or not the player is currently overlapping you or not. Not really useful for a coin, because we don't care when they stop overlapping. We just want to do one thing once when they overlap with us. And then finally, there is event tick. Event tick is effectively your step event or your constant loop. This runs every frame. This will happen every single frame. But unlike other game engines, which are sort of frame locked, Unreal Engine games have a sort of tendency to slow down. So we don't like to just do the same static thing every frame. Why is my phone going off so much? I apologize. So they give us right down here delta seconds. This is the amount of time that has elapsed between the previous frame and the current frame, because that's not always guaranteed to be 1/60th of a second. It could be different. So we use these two together to make sure, even if you're running at like 25 FPS or 60, sort of the same thing will happen constantly. Like the same, if you have a moving platform, it will move at the same total period, regardless of whether you're at 10 FPS, 60 FPS, 120 FPS, whatever. Unreal Engine makes this very easy. Other game engines make this a little more challenging. So we're going to, on begin play, we're not going to do anything. The coin just exists. On begin overlap, we'll come to this a bit later. For now, let's get him rotating. And because we have to add a rotation every single frame, we're going to be using event tick. So we take our cylinder and we drag it out. We physically take it and drag it out to here, and we let go. And now we have a reference to our cylinder in our blueprint. We put it up here. We're going to drag out from the cylinder. We want to add a rotation to it, so we're going to set rotation. So we're going to add local rotation. This sort of says, just within itself, start rotating. There's also relative, and we're actually going to add world rotation. World rotation actually treats it as if you're in the editor, clicking rotate and pulling rotate. Local can do different things depending if you have a very complicated object where you just want, say, the arm to rotate and not the whole character. But because this is a simple coin, we're going to make it use world rotation. And so we add world rotation, we pull out our event tick to it so it'll actually do it, and we're good to go, right? That's it? That's all we need to do? No, not quite. So right now, we're adding nothing. This is delta rotation, so it knows to just take your current rotation, add whatever you just said, and then move on. So we could just type a number in here, right? So there are three axes of rotation. There's roll, pitch, and yaw. And I always suck at remembering which is which. It's just one of those things you have to understand. Rolling is, I believe, so I'm holding out my arm here. Rolling is this way. Pitch is this way. You're pitching forward. And then yaw is sort of this way. There's no other way to explain it, really. I'm very sorry. There's probably a better way, too. I don't know it. So from here, we want yaw because we want the coin to stay upright and rotate like this in 3D space. So for now, without worrying about delta time, let's just say we want it to rotate 5 degrees every frame. How fast do we think that is? 5 degrees every single frame, where we expect roughly 60 frames per second. The answer is kind of fast. So let's see what it looks like. We hit play, We look at our coin. Oh, it actually looks pretty good. So this is rotating. The problem is, as the frame rate dips, the speed of the rotation will actually change. So I don't know how to make this happen except for to change some settings. So if I go to engine scalability settings and set everything to epic, this will probably tank my frame rate a bit. Nope, guess my laptop's handling it fine. Take my word for it, when your frame rate changes, the speed of the coin's rotation will also change. So let's fix that. What?
I jumped on the coin.
Yeah, oh, and so did you start rotating? Yeah, alright, let me show that off really quick actually. So because the coin is a collectible object, or not a collectible object, instead just a physical object, if I could jump properly,
You want me to just bring my computer?
there we go, we start spinning on it. So that's, so far so good. We're going to jump off it. Wow, we actually went flying. That again all falls into sort of Unreal Engine's built-in character physics. It knows to inherit the motion of the platform it's standing on, rotation, movement, etc. Whereas if you were to, how should you say, do it all from scratch, you'd have to manually start understanding, well, I'm standing on this object, and then I have to also add its velocity to mine. Unreal does that all for you, at least starting off. So that's nice. So we're going to just really quickly take my word for it that we want to fix the whole delta second issue. So if we want to do this, there's just one more thing we have to do really. So we, instead of typing the raw value here, we want to make a separate rotator and multiply it. So we right click in blank space and we type make rotator, or they calls it make rot. But we're going to make rotator and hit check. And here, this effectively does the same thing as this. Notice these are color coded. This will return this color, which maps it's the same. So here we have our XYZ. There's the XYZ. This is just like a built-in version of this. But if we want to do more fancy things with our rotator, we have to do it ourselves. So again, we're just going to do 5 yaw. But instead of just dragging this straight to here, which would effectively do the same thing, we're going to pull it out and hit times. So that knows to give us something to scale the rotator by. It's not an int, it's a float. So we're going to hit the top one. Because delta seconds, you probably have very small numbers, like 0.0000172. So that's a float instead of an integer, which is a whole number, like 1, 2, 3. So we pull delta seconds to connect it to the other half of multiplying. And this is just saying yes. One more time? Yes, absolutely. So I'm going to just delete what we have here, right? And so you right click in blank space. And because we want to start with a rotator, we type make rotator. And that will highlight making rotator. You hit enter and it'll create it. Now you have this node. We're going to type 5 in for yaw because that is what we had last time, and because we want our coin to rotate in this axis. We're going to type 5. So then if we drag this right here to here, it would be the same because this is a rotator of 005 and this is a rotator of 005. Instead, we're going to multiply it. So we drag it out into blank space, and then we hit times. And that brings up multiplying. There are 2 options here. There is scale by int, which would be multiply only by a whole number, or just scale, which scales by a float or a non-whole number. We're going to hit that one because we want non-whole. And now it's time multiplying by 0, which sets it to 0. And instead of that, we want to connect our delta seconds to it. This is a way of saying multiply this rotator by delta seconds. And then this output right here is a new rotator that is the result of that mathematical operation. We're going to connect this to our world rotation. We're going to hit compile, we're going to hit save. Everyone follow that? I know it's kind of a weird way to start thinking about math. And then we're going to hit play. We're going to see what it did. And the first thing you're going to notice is that it made our coin rotate very slowly. It's a constant speed, but because delta time is always much less than 1, so for example it's like 0.0001, that's what we're multiplying the rate of rotation by, which makes it very small. Though it's now constant, as in regardless of frame rate, it'll always go at the speed. The solution is to now increase the rate of rotation per second. Basically what this does, in a nutshell, is changing it from saying rotation per frame to saying rotation per second. So this is saying rotate 5 degrees in a whole second. That's not a lot. So we want 1 full rotation per second, so we'll say 360 degrees per second. Now we hit play and see what it looks like. If we look, 1 Mississippi, 1 Mississippi, 1 Mississippi, 1 Mississippi. So there you go. And again, still, if we jump on top of it, we'll start rotating very quickly. So let's fix that next, because a coin's nothing if it's not collectible. So we're going to jump in, and we're going to go to coin, And now we have to do something with our begin overlap event. But wait, we can't overlap this coin. We try to, and we land on it, or it pushes us away because it acts like a wall. So let's fix that. We're going to click on our cylinder, which is the thing acting as a wall. And we're going to go over here to its details pane, is the formal name. We could change where it is, its rotation, its scale, if we wanted to make it smaller or bigger. We're not going to do any of that. We could change its physics to where it would suddenly start flopping around the ground while constantly rotating. Actually, let me show you what that looks like for a second. We just check simulate physics. We hit compile, save, and run. And it's going to have an absolute... Oh, there you go. It's trying to rotate, but oh, there it goes. So this is very glitchy. I don't recommend adding a constant rotation to something that also has physics. Where'd it go? I actually don't. We might have shot it out of the map. I actually don't know. Anyway, clearly that's not how we want our coins to work either. So we're going to turn off simulate physics. And here we have collision. So collision is, of course, the big thing. It's currently set to block us, right? It's currently set to act like a wall. But let's change that. The collision preset is what we want to mess with. Currently set to block all dynamic, which just says any object that can move, block it. Act as a wall to it. Tell it that you are a solid surface that you cannot pass through. So we drop this down. We can actually see exactly what it's doing. We can see that A, collision is enabled, so it can collide with anything. And it is of a certain type. We're not worried about that. And then these are its responses to different types of objects. Visibility, the camera. So if you had a movable camera, the camera would also not be able to move through a wall. Then we have world static, dynamic, pawn, physics body, etc. Vehicle. Basically, every single object Unreal Engine currently has is blocked by this. We don't want that. Instead, we're going to hit this drop down. We're going to change it to overlap all. Just overlap all. It changes this to overlap, except for some reason projectile, it sets a block. Let's say overlap all dynamic. Which still, that's not going to matter for this. Yes?
So is this equivalent to make it like a Unity trigger?
Yes. Unity triggers are effectively the bounds of the collision, and you can then set how they act. A trigger, well, overlapping is basically setting a trigger. Yes, sorry. So here, instead of acting as a wall, if we just hit compile and save right now, because we said it's overlap, we're going to hit play, and what do we think will happen now? If we walk forward, we phase right through it. You literally see it going through my gun. That's it. So it currently now does nothing except for block projectiles for some reason. We can manually change that if we wanted. But here, we can just pass right through the coin. It doesn't do anything. Now we finally have to collect it. So let's jump over to coin. And now we can do stuff on begin overlap. Because it'll say, once something overlaps it, actually perform an action. We're going to move begin play out of the way because we don't care. So here, this is the other actor. So the thing colliding with me, colliding with the coin. And we want to make sure that this is a character. So say we had an enemy that can move around. Do we want enemies able to collect our coins for us? I don't think. Unless that's a mechanic in your game, probably not. So we're going to drag out other actor. And we're going to basically tell the game to say, hey, check if this actor, which is a very generic version of something you're controlling. Your character is an actor. It's just a very specific kind. We're going to check if this actor is our first-person character, which we can see up here at the top, is the name of our character object. And if it is, then actually perform an action, right? So that means we walked through the coin, not an enemy, not a projectile, not a random physics block. So here we have to type, if we just type first-person character, you'll see the word cast. Casting is a more advanced object-oriented programming word that I'm not going to go into too much detail in, but basically this says, try to pretend that this actor is actually a first-person character, which will either work or not work, right? So either you have, if you're so say I launched one of those blocks through the coin. It'll then check and say, hey, check if this actor is a first-person actor. It's not, and then it'll do nothing. So we hit first-person character. Oh, distracting. We're doing swipes after this lesson, just so you know.
I'll do that.
Late. So, we cast to a first-person character. This would let us actually perform actions on the first-person character. We could actually force him to jump or force him to teleport on collecting a coin if we wanted to. We could also, for example, if this was the end of level event, we could actually say open new level because we're done with this level. For now, all we're going to do is say destroy the coin. We collected the coin. We're not going to keep track of it right now. We're just going to say we collected the coin. So for now, all we have to do is right-click and we have to type destroy. because that will give us the starred event right here, which is destroy actor. And we could actually destroy the player character if we wanted to. We're not going to do that. Actually, let me show you what that'll do real quick. So if we set the character here and say on collecting the coin, destroy the player. So they die if they touch the coin. We don't have any, you'll notice we didn't code any fancy death mechanics. There's no respawning. So what happens when we touch the coin? We don't exist anymore. The character saves its last location. I can do nothing anymore. I have no control over the game anymore. That's not what we want. So we're going to break this link right here. So we're going to save. Let me just make sure I didn't get a phone call or anything crazy. Sorry about that. Cool. Anyway. So, we're going to destroy the coin upon collecting the coin. We could if we had a sound effect, we could play the sound effect. So for now, we're going to hit play. What's up?
We did 2 words for Shepherd.
Yes.
Yes, that's correct.
So now, what's going to happen when we touch the coin? We walk up, and it's gone. We collected a coin.
Go back to the,
This is the coin. So on begin overlap, check if our character is a first-person character. If they are, destroy the coin. The reason it destroys the coin is because right here it says self, which means destroy me, and this is from the context of the coin. So the coin is saying destroy me, the coin gets destroyed. Again, we can change what actor goes in there, but we're not going to kill the player because that doesn't make sense. So let's do one more thing. Let's actually keep a track of how many coins we've collected. There's a lot of fancy heads-up display HUD things you can do. It would take me too long. I only have another 10 minutes, 15 minutes or so of this lesson. We started around 12:05. I'll end around 1:05. But so let's actually make a new variable because that's very important for your guys' understanding. So right here on the left in your blueprint, we have variables, right? So you hit plus to create a new one right here in the top right corner. Everyone see that? The plus? Everyone see the plus? So we hit the plus. We make a new variable. We're going to call it coins, or wow, caps lock. Coins collected. You can name whatever you want. But we're going to call it coins collected. But notice how it's red at the moment. That means it's a Boolean, true or false. It's not a quantity of coins. This would be, yes, you've collected coins, no, you haven't. So let's fix that. Up here in the top right, we see variable type. There are a lot of different types of variables. You could store entire objects. You could store actors. You could basically say, hey, store the last coin I collected as a variable, and then make it do something fancy once I collect it, or something. You can do a lot here. But for now, we just want it to be an integer, because you've never collected half a coin. You've always collected at least one full coin.
What you're saying is a coin is a coin?
A coin, you can't say it's only half. A coin collection is a coin collection. So we hit compile again, and this will change it from being true-false to being 0. And by default, it is 0. So for now, we're going to go to coin. So once we've made this integer, everyone have the integer that's following along? Yeah? Awesome. So now we have this little variable in our code, in our player, that says, hey, I've collected 0 coins at the moment. So now, when he collects a coin, we want that number to go up. And again, we can do that with this first-person character here. We say, get the player who collected it, and now as them, that's this little node right here, pull out the player, so this is just us, because we collected it, and say, you type coins collected. And we're going to say set coins collected, because we want to change its value. Make sense? We drag out and hit set coins collected. And now, we can't just set it to a static value, right? We want to set it to what it currently was plus 1. We want to increment it by 1. So I'm going to break this link right here, and we're going to connect it to here. If I just said set to plus, or set to 1, you'd always have 1 coin. You'd never have more than 1 coin because it would always keep setting that total to 1. So we also have to drag out a second time to say get coins collected. This says get the current value of coins collected. Now we drag out from it and we say plus. We say integer plus integer. We can also do increment int, but this actually behaves a little weirdly, so we're not going to use that for right now. So we're just going to hit plus and hit integer plus integer, and its default is plus 1. So this returns the value of coins collected, but we haven't set it yet. We pull it out and we say coins collected. So this is just effectively saying set coins collected to coins collected plus 1. That's all we did. Makes sense. Any questions? I know learning blueprint math is kind of weird at the start.
What we call out the node and say.
So we say get coins collected, then we drag out from coins collected and say plus, and say integer plus integer. you just pull out and say get. You pull out from the player, the first-person character. You type get coins, assuming you named the variable in your character correctly.
Is it case sensitive?
No.
The name of the variable includes.
Are you doing this cast to first-person character?
Yes.
May I see? One moment. Drag up to here. And you type get space coin. Can you jump over here? Jump over here. This is correct. You didn't get the variable.
So I put the variable in the wrong place.
Remember, your coins collected variable is in the first-person character, and what we're doing is in coin. So again, now it'll be increasing that integer, but we have no way to see that it's increasing that integer, which isn't that useful to us if it's just happening behind the scenes. We're going to do the laziest possible thing right now to get it to display, which is a debug command called print string. So right now, if we right-click anywhere and we type print string, and we hit enter, it just prints a string. This will just appear in the top left corner like a little debug message. If you've played old Source games, they do this sometimes, where they have a little like loaded map such and such in the corner. So we're going to be using that because we don't have time to go over how to make a HUD. I'm happy to, either show you guys how to do it privately or make an advanced tutorial later on. But for now, all we're going to do is drag from this to this. Now you'll notice I'm dragging out an integer. It wants a string. What will this do? It'll manually create or automatically create this little converting beam or what's the word? Node. I was going to say beacon, but that didn't make any sense. So it'll create this little conversion node, and that just converts an integer to a string. So instead of the literal number 1, it's just quote 1 or quote 2 or 27 or whatever. So with that done, does everyone have that? Everyone understand what I did here? To do a quick overview of what we just did, on the person overlapping, or with anyone overlapping with the coin, check that the thing that overlapped with it is a first-person character. If it is, take that first-person character's coins collected, add 1 to it, and set their coins collected, as in it's 1 greater than it was when they started. Then print out their total to the screen, and then destroy the coin. Make sense? For now, we're going to hit save. If anyone has any questions, please stop me. But for now, we run. There's our coin. We run into it, and look at the top left corner. We see 1. And now it's gone. It appears on screen for a few seconds. So that's okay. We have 1 coin. But we made this system so that we can make multiple coins. So we're going to drag out a bunch of coins. I'm just going to get lazy and let them sit halfway through the ground. So now we've made like 5 coins. Now they're embedded in the ground. That's fine. We don't care. So now we collect a coin. It says 1. We collect a coin. It says 2, 3, 4, and 5. So now we actually can collect coins. And you could do a thing that says, oh, once you've collected 10 coins, they go to the next level. And you could keep adding code that way. So let's go over 2 more things while I still have you guys for some time. Well, can you answer this? It's Shop, right?
This called me.
They also have my number too. That means they're probably here. You take care of it. Great. Great, that means drinks and snacks are going to be here, just in time for this lesson then. So let's do 2 more things. We're going to go over how to make a new level, which is fun because 3D level design is fun, and then we're going to go over how to shoot chairs, because that's fun. So first things first, we're going to make a new level. So we're going to hit File, New Level. Was it Shop, right?
Yeah, they're here.
Okay, can you take care of that? James? Tabor, you're needed. Cool, so we go File, New Level. If I can move my mouse properly. So we're going to do default. Notice they also have a VR basic and completely empty. We're going to do it default for now. Notice this gives us a nice sky and a single block. And this is a player start node. This is where we will spawn into the level. If I put it really high, up and we hit play, I'll spawn up there and then fall. So you can do that to do anything you want. That's just where you want the player to begin. It's completely invisible in-game. And now we're on a single isolated block, and we can shoot things. We can drop to our death, but we didn't code in any kind of death, so we'll just fall forever. So for now, let's not worry about that. Let me jump over. You double-click an object to zoom over to it up here in the world outliner. If you double-click an object, you'll teleport to it. This is the whole sky sphere. This is really not where we want to be. So we'll double-click light source, and now we're up here. So now we're going to hit save and save this level. I believe it's under first person BP maps. I'll just call it map 1. So now we have a map. Let's actually design a level really quick. So we want geometry, level geometry, which is over here on the left under modes. So you get geometry. Well, you see box, cone, cylinder, curved stair, linear stair, spiral stair, and sphere. Let's bring a staircase up to a second platform and leave it at that for now. So we drag out a linear staircase. We put it right up here. It'll sort of snap to the ground, and there it is. What if we want it wider and bigger? We could scale it, but we also have the ability to manually change these things. So notice step width is currently 200. Let's make it 1000. So we click on the stair. Under details now, I've set step width to 1000. Everyone following? Basically, raise your hand to stop me if you fall behind. So we had that, and this got much bigger, but now it's misaligned. We drag this over here. Great. Thanks, guys. And so we want the stairs to be longer too. We click on our stairs again, and we say number of steps is currently 10. Let's make it 50 steps, and it just goes all the way up. Now that we have our 50 stairs, notice it's made this really big sort of pyramid thing. We're going to copy this object and drag it up the stairs. You do this, on the one hand you can right click, actually wait no. I'm trying to remember how I learned this, but you hold Alt. So hold the Alt key on your keyboard. What's up? Is all good? Okay, just checking. Sorry about that. Alright, so we hold Alt and you drag. And notice I'm dragging this invisible little thing, but that one hasn't moved yet. When I let go, it should have... I don't know what that just did. Oh, no, I copied the wrong thing. Sorry. So you click on this. I'll show you really quick what it looks like down here. You hold Alt, and you click and... Hold Alt, click, drag. It makes a duplicate. Now we have a second one to work with. Yeah, perfect. Front there. And now we click and drag. We bring it up to the top of the stairs. You can also do it up, then right. Let's just make sure it lines up, which it currently doesn't. Okie doke. Now hit save. And if we run, all the collisions already work. We can run up the stairs. And now we're up the stairs. Oh no, I fell. And we're dead. So, let's do 2 more things. We're going to make a kill box on the bottom, so we don't just fall infinitely, because that's annoying. So we're gonna keep it very simple. Notice when I stop the level, I stop where my player was, so really far down. So we're gonna make a new actor. The actor will be our kill box. So we're gonna make a new Blueprint class actor. We're gonna call it Kill Z, because it's just if you fall too far, it'll kill us. So you double click it, and now we have it. Oh yes. I'm sorry, I'm running really fast. You're right. So to make a new object, we just like we did with the coin, we right click here on the bottom, and we hit Blueprint class. See it? And then you hit actor. And I named it Kill Z. You can name it whatever you'd like. Just know that it will kill our player when they fall too low. And once it's created, we double click it. All good? And here we are. Again, we have nothing. So this time, we want an invisible overlapping box, basically. So let's add a component, and we want a collision. No, that's actually not what we want though, because that is visible. Here, under common. No, let me look up cube. Here. No, wait. Box. Yeah, box collision. If you type just collision, you'll see 3 types of collision: box, capsule, and sphere. We want a box collision. So again, we hit add component, and we typed collision, and hit box collision. And this will have this little box. We want it to encompass the entire world. So we want it to be so that they could not hope to drop around our kill box. So we're going to manually set its box extent over here on the right, with box extent under shape. We're going to make it like 1,000,000 by 1,000,000. Now it's a very big box. It extends in all directions as far as the eye can see. And for now, that's all we want to do. Actually, not true. Once we have that, everyone have their really big box. Alright, now you hit Event Graph. And again, we're just going to use the actor begin overlap. So we drag another actor, and again, we don't want to do this if they shoot. If they shoot down and the projectile crosses this box, we don't want to kill them because they didn't die. So we again cast it to first person character, and hit that. So now again, we're checking if the first person character actually fell through. Now there are a lot of different things we could do. We could save the first person character's initial spawn position and just put them back there, like teleport them. Or we're going to do what we're going to do here, which is restart the whole level. So we're going to right click and type the word restart. Restart. Oh, reset. I guess I have to open level. Okay. So here we're going to learn how to open a level. So here we type open level and hit OK. And for now we're going to do this very manually, but we're going to just type the level name we typed. I typed, what did you guys name your new map? I named it map 1. Did you all name it the same? Or no? Whatever you named the map, which you can see up here in the name of your top left tab, type here. And then drag to it. Actually, I'm sorry, let me make that smarter. One sec. Here. There's actually a blueprint node to get the current level name. That's smarter, because this will work then on any level you put it on. So ignore what I just said there. Sorry, we're going to delete whatever is in that level name. Right-click down here, or in blank space, and type level name, which will say get current level name. Yeah, I guess it actually needs to be an ode. Okay. So here we just do that, and you drag it there. And hopefully that'll work as expected. Hit save, and we run. Now we hit play. Oh, actually we didn't place it in the world, so nothing would happen yet. So sorry about that. Now we drag our kill Z out into the level. We drag it here. Now the problem with it being here is it'll kill us as soon as we hit the ground, because it's not too low, or it's too high. So take it, we're going to manually set its location to Z of negative 1500, which just pushes it down a bit. We can see it right down there. So now we're going to hit play. Everyone following me still? No?
I lost it.
I'm so sorry. Where'd you get lost? Okay, yeah, I moved fast with that. So here. So on begin overlap, we check if they're a first person character. Then you right click and type get current level name. And then we type open level. You drag this to that, and that's it. You sound like you pretty much have it. All good? Awesome. Now we come out here and we drag from the bottom the object you created that we were just editing into the level. Sound good? So you just drag it out here, and it gets placed. And then the only thing you have to do after that is on the bottom right here, we see Z in location, Z. We're going to set it to negative 1500 to make sure it actually is where we want to respawn, where we fall. Alright. Everyone with me? Cool. Now we hit play. So if we did everything right, we're going to jump off the ledge, and the level will restart, which means we can actually die and have to retry. So far, so good. So again, we jump off the ledge. The box we collide with checks if we're a first-person character. If we didn't do that, every time we shot one of these little balls down, the level would restart. Because it'd be like, something collided with me, time to restart the level. The projectiles are actually bouncing off the Killberry, which is funny. Yes?
Can you do that again?
Which?
Can you look like you maintained your velocity, or was that just my eyes?
One more time?
It looked like you maintained your velocity, or was that just my eyes?
That was your eyes. Yeah, here. We do this again. I'll look straight down.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it restarts the level as if nothing happened. If you were to do teleporting and you just set their position without changing their velocity, they would maintain their velocity.
Gotcha.
So we're almost done. Let's have fun with one more thing. I know I'm like running over basically, but the last thing to do, we have right down here this first person projectile. This is what gets spawned when we shoot. It's those little balls they gave us. Let's double click it and change it to something more fun. So we're not dealing with any of this. This is how when we shoot those little blocks, they actually get pushed, or when we shot the coin that got pushed. That's what all this does. We're not going to worry about that for now. Click over to viewport. See, we have the little ball. We're going to just add a component. We're going to add, it's called a static mesh. Static mesh. We want the bottom one, the one that not hierarchical instanced or instanced, just normal. Static mesh. You can hit it, and now we have a new static mesh. Once you've clicked it, click over here on static mesh. See how it's defining what model we're using. Click down, and we have a lot of different things we can click from. But I want to find. I'm going to type chair. So we have SM_chair. This is a starter content piece. We're going to click it. Now there's a chair here. That's all we are going to do. So what's going to happen when we shoot now? What's up?
Are you gonna shoot chairs?
Yes.
Brilliant.
Yo, check out my new Indie FPS chair shooter.
Yo, what's actually really funny about this, if you shoot straight down, you actually ride the chair up. This is actually pretty fun. They also despawn after a few seconds. So you can do a lot. Notice we didn't remove the original sphere. We just have the chair. So you can actually do some crazy platforming with this, not going to lie. Yes.
So I mean, I came in late.
Yeah.
Did Unity provide you with the ball and the
Yes, Unreal Engine 4, we're using the first-person template. We're using the first-person template, which gives us this gun, shooting. A lot of that is done for you. We just messed with some jump height and control variables. We made coins that we can collect, and we've made a box that can kill you so that you can't just fall forever at the end of a level. So we're going to make one last object before we're done, and that is a level gate to go to a new level. Okay? So we're going to make a new object again, which again we do by right-clicking here in the bottom, blueprint class, actor. All good? We're just going to call it goal. We're going to say once you reach the goal, we go to the next level. But we have to do something, because every level goes to a different level. We can't just always say next level because we don't know the name of the next level. So we're going to add a new variable here in goal. Right down here at the bottom by variables. We see that? Click it. We're going to name it next level. We're going to change its variable type from a Boolean to a name, not a string. That's an annoying slight difference in just how Unreal Engine does it. There's level name, which is its own data type, and string. You type them exactly the same. So you hit name, but there's one more thing we have to do. See right down here, next to the variable, there's this little closed eye. We're going to have to click it to turn it into an open eye. What this lets you do is when you have it out in the world, you can actually change its value by... So if we put 5 goals out, you could have each goal have a different level name. And then you can manually type each one to say where it'll go. I'll explain when we actually get to that in a minute. For now, assume we've filled next level with the name of the level we're going to. Assume it's done. So first we have to add what it needs to look like. I don't know what it needs to look like. We're going to add a static mesh and just see what we have to work with. So type static mesh. And over here, we're going to do a drop down. Let's just look at what we have. I see let's see. We have shape narrow capsule. Sure, this will work.
It's a portal.
Right.
Walk through.
Yeah, sure. Again, if you were 3D modeling or downloading models from the internet, you'd be able to make something better. So we have our capsule. We need to make sure it's not set to block, that it's set to overlap, just like the coin. So we go down here to our collision. Yes. How did I create this? We did add component, and we typed static mesh, and then we click on the static mesh we made, and we go up here to the top on static mesh and set it. I typed narrow capsule. Frankly, you can do any of the items in the whole drop down, whatever you think looks cool. No problem. So we go over to, where is it? We have to go down to collision again, because right now it'll block us. We change block to overlap all dynamic. Everyone good? Under collision, on the right-hand side, once you've selected that, scroll down and hit overlap all dynamic. So once that's done, everyone with me? We head over to the event graph. And we go on event begin overlap. Again, we're going to check if the player has overlapped. So we drag out from other actor, type first person character, hit enter. And now all we need to do is open a level. So we drag out, open level. And we're going to drag out this variable we put over here on the left, which is next level. We drag it out here. We hit get instead of set. I know I'm moving quickly, I'm sorry. I'm just running out of time. Everyone still with me or no? One more time? Yep, I drag next level out to here and then hit get, which will just put this little node right here called next level. And all we do is we connect it to level name. And that's it. That's all the code for this goal object. Done. So yeah, what's up? So I drag out from other actor and type it. This casts this actor to first person, basically checking, hey, did the actor who collided with me, are they a first person? If yes, continue. Otherwise, you have a separate code execution line here for cast failed, aka something that's not a first person character exported. You can then say, well, try to see if he's this other object. We're not going to bother with that for now. So we hit compile and save. Alright, and now we're going to drag a goal up to the top of the stairs. So we just drag our goal out into the level, right? Just like we did before. And here we have the little capsule. It's very ugly, I'm not going to lie. But notice we still haven't set a next level name anywhere, right? So currently, if we try to do that, it'll fail because it's like you didn't tell me a level to go to. So we click on this. I need to dismiss that. So you'll notice once we click on the goal in the level, we see default next level. That's because we set the little I from closed to open. So when you click this, you should see next level here. Do we all see that? That's important. So now we can actually change this to say whatever we want. So I need to double check the name of the default map. So the name of the default map given is first person example map. I believe this is case sensitive, but I'm not positive. I'm going to make sure I type it right just in case. So for this name, I'm going to type first person example map and hit enter and save. Sound good? I'm going to hit play. I'm going to run up the thing. Once we touch this, it loads the new level. And here we are. I can also add a goal on the first person example map where it puts me back to map 1. And thus this way you could create many maps, connect them all, make a bunch of challenges, and you now have a game up and running, basically. The last thing I'll show you is a really small thing. You'll see up here in the top left corner, you see it says lighting needs to be rebuilt. That is because the game, Unreal Engine sort of bakes the shadows of all these static objects in, and our goal up there is a static object. So all you do for that is you hit the build button. So if you ever see lighting needs to be rebuilt or such and such, you press build. It'll figure out all the textures, all the everything, and we tell it go ahead. Exporting lighting data, building lighting. Depending on how complicated your map is, this will take more or less time. This is happening pretty quickly because our map is very simple. You've built your lighting, and you're done. And so that is Unreal Engine 4 in a nutshell. Are there any immediate questions about anything we did, or like if you have one more feature thing, like I'll tell you in a nutshell how we would do it? How did I build it? Up right here in the top bar next to play, there's the button build. You just press it. Yes?
What if you make him more of a open world play?
Right. So to make an open world, I could show you in 10 seconds actually, very quickly. So you see up here in modes, we've been in geometry. You go over to landscape. We hit landscape. I would advise to most of you not to do this just because it'll mess up your entire level. We're going to choose a material. I know I'm really out of time because Unity's about to start. I'm just going to hit basic floor, hit fill world. I believe I hit it, or create. As you can see, this is taking its time. But in a nutshell, there we go. Now we have a really large sculptable world, and they give you all these different sculpting tools. So if we choose the, we'll do the sculpt tool. We can rise up large things. I'm gonna undo that. The game is okay. So just drag that up like a little mountain, and now we hit play. We go. Now we can see that big thing. We can jump to it. And to conclude, wow, the game is lagging. There we go. I tried. Anyway, so that's the short answer if you want to make a big level. Yes?
So, character can like
What?
Could you like make the objects, other objects actually collide with the projectile?
Yes.
Projectile collide with projectiles, right? And they go up.
Right, yeah. So, very doable. So it actually kind of does by default. The reason it's being weird is A, frame rate, and B, it might be so, like, so imagine, this is my player, this is the chair I'm riding vertically. I'm looking straight down, I might spawn the next chair here. So it might not actually be checking from here to hit it. So there are multiple ways around that change where it's spawning, make the hitbox on the thing bigger. But in a nutshell, yes, totally. I think by default they do actually collide with each other. And because we made them big, it's fairly doable to see that. Let's see if I can't just like... Hard to make work right. But if I just... See it, notice how it clipped through me? That's a frame rate thing. Yeah. So, because before we were able to ride it all the way up. If I do one thing, we go to settings, we set everything down to low settings, because I'm only on a laptop, mind you. And this isn't a fancy, like, gaming Alienware thing. Now we should get a bit higher frame rate, maybe. It's also trying to compile shaders and do all this stuff, but now it's running better. A little, anyway. Anyway, I definitely am totally out, beyond my time, so I'm going to end this tutorial here. Thank you all. If you have any more questions, please come out to our meeting on Tuesday, because we'll be going over a lot of this. What's up, Nick?
What are some examples of finished products you've made with UE4 that we can check out?
All right. So, I mean, I've got plenty. You can.
Ding, 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 ding.
So I'm going to close my Unreal Engine. We're going to hit Save Selected, which is everything that's open. And if you go, I mean, some of them are in the SGDC sizzle reel, to those of you who are here at our first meeting. If you check out our website, sgdc.ml, if we just go here, there's a YouTube video on the homepage, which has a ton of different games made by the club and all the engines you'll be seeing today. In the top right corner, it tells you what it was made in, and a bunch of them were made in Unreal Engine. In fact, if I just jump, sorry guys, I know I'm like, I know. Actually, yeah, we'll go over this later. If we have another downtime, I'm happy to show you guys. But for now, thank you guys. I hope you enjoyed. Come out on Tuesday if you have more questions about Unreal Engine 4. I'll answer any you have.
I'm gonna need that because
Yeah.